Upper 60s and lower 70s for lows, with highs in the mid to upper 80s, mostly sunny Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
It's time again for your conference, CCFM Conference 2026, Wednesday, June 24th through Saturday, June 27th at the Florence Center, Florence, South Carolina. We will welcome Apostle Joshua Giles, Pastor T. Renee Glenn, Dr. Darius Daniels, Pastor John F. Hanna, Bishop Melvin Lambert, Bishop Bobby Hilton, and our psalmists, Pastor Smokey Norfolk, Pastor Wendy Wyatt, Pastor Naomi Rain, Pastor Lillian Lloyd. Yes, this is your conference, CCFM Conference 2026 at the Florence Center. Admission is free, but registration has major advantages. For more information, go to ccfmnation.org, ccfmnation.org. You don't want to miss the King's Summit CCFM Conference 2026, June 24th through the 27th. Come hungry for God's presence.
Bless the Lord. I'm Dr. Ann T. Newell, pastor of the Soul Harvest Apostolic Church, the church not just there in the community, but there for the community of Spring Lake, North Carolina. We're looking for more than a few good men and women to join the team. Iron sharpeneth iron. We may have what you need. You may have what we need. Catch the vision. Join the team. Join Wake Up.
You have always put others before yourself. Put your country above all else. Given everything you can, every time. Now it's time to forge a new path. At Fayetteville State University, we believe your service is our debt. So we're offering free military family tuition. Yes, absolutely free. And with new programs like cybersecurity, anything really can happen. Fayetteville State University. Are you in?
Making Rounds Live, broadcasting and streaming live from the WIDU Community Room.
The We Do Radio Network, WAGR in Lumberton, WYDU in Red Springs, WEWO in Laurinburg.
Making Rounds Live on 99.7 FM, 1600 AM.
We air every second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
Making Rounds Live.
The purpose of this show is to bring you information on health and wellness.
Here's the host of Making Rounds Live, Omega Jones.
Thank you so much, Ray. Welcome back to another episode of Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live. This is a broadcast in which we focus on health care, wellness, and the services that are offered and available throughout Cape Fear Valley. I'm your host, Omega Jones. May is Stroke Awareness Month, and every second counts during a stroke. And knowing the signs, it can truly save a life. So joining us today, ladies and gentlemen, we have two experts at Cape Fear Valley Health. First, we have Dr. Mina Suman. He is an interventional and vascular neurologist at Cape Fear Valley and the director of neurointerventional services. We also have Ms. Kathy Bowie. She is an MSN RN, and she is with the stroke coordinator. Get it together. Stroke Program Coordinator at Cape Fear Valley Health. Now, due to the subject and the topics that we're going to discuss today, remember that this broadcast is for informational purposes only. This is not a time for you to go around and self-diagnose, especially with what we're talking about today. So what I want you to do, if you feel that you or a loved one, a friend, or someone may be suffering from something that we may discuss today, instead of taking matters into your own hands, what I want you to do is find yourself a healthcare professional. Dr. Suman and Kathy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. Welcome to Making Rounds Live.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Suman, let's start with you. Tell the listeners a little about yourself, because we talked a little bit before the broadcast, and the role that you play at Cape Fear Valley Health, and what inspired you to pursue neurology and stroke care.
Yeah. Thank you for having me today, Omega. And I'm Mina Suman. I'm the, as you said, as a vascular and intervention neurologist and the director of neurointervention services at Cape Fear Valley Healthcare System. And my work focus basically diagnosing and treating strokes and other complex blood vessel disease in the brain and the spinal cord. What inspired me to pursue neurology was how incredible complexity of the brain and the opportunity to make a meaningful impact during some of the most critical moments in the patient's life. Stroke care is usually the most rewarding because a timely treatment can truly save lives and preserve independency.
Now, Kathy, it's your turn. You're not a newbie here at Making Rounds Live. You've been with us before. Tell us about your role as stroke program coordinator and how your healthcare journey began.
Well, initially, I was wanting to go into business, and in doing that, I initially worked at Highsmith in the business office there when it was a private hospital. With that, I got to know the healthcare professionals there, and their impact was profound on me and got me loving medicine and realizing that was what I wanted to do and pursue. And so that is what I followed. So Cape Fear Valley, Fayetteville, this is my community, my home. I was born at Cape Fear Valley, and everything that I do for the community to make that impact, to help those people, the caregivers, the patients, in the worst times of their life, and to make it where they can get through it, teach them, educate them, helping them every step of the way from the minute they get to the hospital, through that hospital stay, and then beyond during their recovery period.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today are two experts from Cape Fear Valley Health, Dr. Mina Suman and Ms. Kathy Bowie. She is an MSN RN. And Dr. Suman is the interventional and vascular neurologist for Cape Fear Valley, as well as you heard earlier, the director of neurointerventional services. And Kathy is the stroke program coordinator at Cape Fear Valley Health. Now, Dr. Suman, let's talk about stroke. For listeners who may not fully understand, what exactly is stroke?
Yeah, it's a very good question. A stroke is basically occurs when like a blood flow to a part of the brain is interrupted or reduced, preventing brain tissue from getting oxygen and nutrients. Brain cells begin to die within minutes, which is why a stroke is considered an emergency, a medical emergency. Quick recognition of a stroke and the treatment is critical to improve the outcome and reducing the disability from the stroke.
What causes a stroke to happen?
So most of strokes happens actually because of the blood vessels supplying the brain is become blocked by a clot. This is called what's called ischemic stroke, and it's happened in around 85% of the cases of stroke. There is other types of a stroke when blood vessel rupture or burst and bleeds into the brain, which is called a hemorrhagic stroke. And several conditions can increase the risk for stroke, including high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, smoking, heart rhythm abnormalities, like what's called AFib or atrial fibrillation, and obesity and sleep apnea as well.
Dr. Suman, many people hear the term mini stroke or TIA. Exactly what is a TIA?
So TIA, as the name says, it's a transient, I is ischemic, and A is attack, transient ischemic attack. So basically it's a temporary interruption of the blood flow to the brain that causes stroke-like symptoms, which often resolve within minutes and 2 hours. By definition, TIA actually shouldn't cause significant damage to the brain when we get an MRI, for example. Even though symptoms may go away, TIAs shouldn't never be ignored because it's a warning sign before a larger stroke can happen. So it's a potential to identify the risk factors of why this is happening and to prevent a bigger stroke from happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, May is Stroke Awareness Month, and As you heard the doctor say, every second counts during a stroke, and knowing the signs that can truly save a life. And in the studio, Dr. Mina Suman and Miss Kathy Bowie. They are with Cape Fear Valley Health, and Kathy is the stroke program coordinator at Cape Fear Valley Health. If you would like to join the broadcast, what I would like for you to do is you can either call WIDU at 910-483-6111. Again, 910-483-6111. Or if you're watching the live feed on Cape Fear Valley's Facebook page, what you can do is leave the question in the comment section. Can I talk today, please? And Lindsay will make sure that we get those questions answered for you. And I'll go ahead and throw this in there as well. We are also streaming live on Cape Fear Valley's YouTube channel as well. So make sure you spread the word and share the broadcast. And again, ladies and gentlemen, our guests, Dr. Mina Suman and Kathy Bowie, and we are talking about stroke. Now, Kathy, why is Stroke Awareness Month so important?
Well, it is very important because we live in the area what's called the stroke belt. And in this area, strokes are significantly higher than anywhere else in the country. So raising awareness helps educate the community that a stroke is one of those things that can happen to anyone at any age, at any time, no matter where they're at, who they are, and recognize the warning signs, making sure they are paying attention to those warning signs, getting immediate medical attention, because like you had said earlier, getting that attention reduces their debility, reduces the chances of something more severe happening, and gets them back to their functional daily lives.
Kathy, I'm reading that more and more young people are experiencing strokes now. How common are strokes?
A stroke can happen, and statistics say a stroke happens every 40 seconds in the United States. And like I said, we are in the stroke belt, so it happens even more often than that here. And strokes don't care how old you are. They do happen in children. We've seen them as young as 18 years old, which is what our adult population starts at. Our average age of an adult stroke patient right now is about 62 for what we're treating, which is young. It is very young. So they are happening. We have doubled our stroke numbers just in the last 2 years, and it is every year rising. So strokes are happening more and more frequently. So getting that education out there to the public for them to know the risk factors, knowing the symptoms, getting the treatment as soon and as quickly as possible is so important.
I'm amazed at the numbers and the increase. That's amazing.
No, absolutely.
Kathy or Dr. Suman, studies show that African Americans are at a higher risk for stroke and often experience strokes at a younger age. What are some of the factors, and piggybacking really off the question that I just asked, what are some of the causes of this, and once again, why is that awareness and that prevention especially important in the African American Black community?
So African Americans, they're about 45% more likely to experience a stroke and nearly twice as likely to die from one compared to other nationalities and races. So there's many contributing factors. There are the higher instances of high blood pressure, diabetes, the genetic factors, obesity, things that there are modifiable risk factors that they can contribute to and fix. Then there's also the genetic factors such as sickle cell disease that are more prevalent in the African American community as well. But high blood pressure alone is one of the leading causes of stroke, both ischemic and hemorrhagic stroke. Wow. And more than half the Black community is affected by it, and at a younger age. Also to include diabetes. We have a high prevalence of diabetic population here in this area. When you look at our comorbidities or the additional medical factors that our patients have, the three top medical factors that patients with our stroke population has, they are high blood pressure, they are high cholesterol, and diabetes. And those three are the top risk factors for stroke. And they are three of the top risk factors for African Americans as well.
Dr. Suman, you mentioned the warning signs earlier and the symptoms. What should people actually look for?
Yeah. So warning signs for stroke is, as you know, stroke symptoms come typically suddenly, and any of the signs that we will put it in an acronym called BFAST, that should be going as a medical emergency. BFAST is starting with B for balance, any balance or unsteady gait. All of a sudden, you're unable to walk as you used to, or nausea, vomiting, severe imbalance problem with that could be a sign of a stroke. E stands for for vision, so any vision problems, so sudden loss of vision of one eye or both eyes, or even like double vision, like seeing things doubles. That also can be a sign of a stroke. Then F, like face, any facial droop, any asymmetry of the face, that could be a sign for stroke. And then A comes arm weakness. So any one side weakness, whether arm or leg weakness, can be a sign of stroke. Then comes S, which is basically speech. So any slurring of speech, unable to get the words out, unable to comprehend what you are talking about, that could be a sign of a stroke. And lastly is T, which is time. It's time to call 911.
And why is it so critical for us to respond quickly?
Yeah, so during stroke, every minute, blood flow interrupted, nearly around 2 million of neurons die. And not only that, is also the brain basically ages by approximately 3 weeks. So if we put this in 1 hour, so every 1 hour, nearly 120 million of neurons die, and the brain ages by 3.5 years, 3.5 years every hour if we're delaying stroke treatment. So the faster the patient receives treatment, the better the chance of saving the brain tissue, reducing disability, and improving the recovery.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the studio, Dr. Mina Suman and Kathy Bowie. They're our in-studio guests today on Making Rounds Live. Dr. Suman, he is an interventional and vascular neurologist at Cape Fear Valley Health, as well as the director of neurointerventional sciences. Kathy, she is the stroke program coordinator at Cape Fear Valley Health, and we are so honored to have them with us today as we bring awareness during Stroke Awareness Month. Now, let's talk about the symptoms, Kathy. What are the symptoms that people sometimes dismiss, or maybe they feel it's not that serious?
It can vary. A lot of times it's those very vague symptoms. The obvious strokes, people will come in for immediately when you can't feel your arm or your leg, or you have the obvious facial drooping. They know that that's a stroke, and they come in right away. But a lot of times it's the very vague symptoms that they will, that they will ignore, or the headache that they've never had before. They know something's wrong. They've never had this headache, and they will just brush it off or blow it off. Or the headache with the nausea and the vomiting, and they can't stop vomiting. They think it's just a stomach ache. And those are the ones that they come in, and at first, they're getting treated for a headache, and they're the hard ones to see. And a lot of times it's the women. Women, they don't know how to explain it. They don't know what to really say. I just don't feel right. Or they just feel dizzy or weak. So when they have these vague symptoms, they don't really realize they're having a stroke sometimes. Or even with the vision changes that Dr. Saman was talking about, They want to just say, I got something in my eye. I mean, I have heard, in all the years I worked in the emergency room, I've heard so many different things. And they want to make all kinds of different excuses. They've used Visine for a week or so, and they've had a stroke, and they really will, blow it off and think of everything under the sun other than the fact that it might be a stroke. And it's concerning. But, getting that treatment when and, once they hear there's a stroke, and it's like, I thought something really might be wrong, but it's trusting their gut that something really is wrong.
Well, Kathy, when we return, I want to elaborate on women and stroke, because I want to know if the warning symptoms are different, or do they present themselves differently in women? But right now, ladies and gentlemen, Brother Paul is over there telling me I've got to take a break. So when we return, we'll continue the conversation on Stroke Awareness Month. Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live. Make sure you stay close.
We'll be right back with more of Making Rounds Live.
Cape Fear Valley's Making Rounds Live.
Broadcasting and streaming live from the WIDU Community Room on 99.7 FM, 1600 AM.
The We Do Radio Network.
This is Dr. Auntie Newell, pastor of the Soul Harvest Apostolic Church at 135 North Main Street in Spring Lake, and you're listening to Wake Up.
A federal court today blocked Alabama Republicans from implementing their preferred House map ahead of this year's midterms, potentially preventing Republicans from picking up an additional seat via gerrymandering. North Carolina is still facing major drought problems despite days of much-needed rain in some areas of the state. Iran has denounced U.S. strikes in southern Iran as a sign of bad faith and unreliability amid ongoing negotiations to end the war. Investigators believe Jonathan Phelps of Wake County allegedly cut the outer fence of a solar farm on Winter Road in Bailey in Nash County and took about 2,000 feet of copper wire. Tick season in North Carolina is a year-round threat, but peak activity occurs from late spring through early fall. The most intense biting period runs from May until September, driven by warm, humid climate. Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Manaselli, WIDU Radio News. The North Carolina Department of Transportation will temporarily close a section of King Road beginning May 27th for construction of a new roundabout near the future Rockfish Village Shopping Center. That closure is set to remain in place through early July. Drivers are encouraged to use King Road, Mesquite Drive, and Stony Point Road as a detour during construction. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says 39-year-old Lindsay Pascal of Lillington has been identified as the victim of the homicide that occurred on May 25th in the wooded area at the end of Burrow Drive in Fayetteville. Her next of kin has been notified. Arrested and charged is 47-year-old Dominic Smith of Fayetteville, charged with first-degree murder. Smith was processed at the Cumberland County Detention Center and held on a denied bond. If you have any information about the investigation, you are asked to call the Sheriff's Office at 910-677-5463. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Manaselli.
Another day with some of the most humid air of 2026 so far. That is going to lead to the chance for scattered afternoon and evening storms with high temperatures well into the 80s prior to the development of some of those showers and storms. Overnight lows, they'll drop into the upper 60s and lower 70s because of the humidity in place. And by Wednesday, well into the 80s once again, fewer storms compared to Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
Wake up, catch the vision, join the team. This is Pastor Reginald Johnston of My Father's House Christian Church right here in Fayetteville. We want you to wake up and join the team. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It's good when we come together. We're one body, many parts. We desire that you wake up and join the team. It's good to be a part of Wake Up. Wake up, join the team. We will see you in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Remember the rotary phone? Well, soon that's what people are going to ask about gas-powered cars. And every day we see videos of robots becoming more and more like us. Welcome to the future. At Fayetteville State University, we believe that anything really can happen. So wherever it is that you want to go, we've got a program for that. Visit Fayetteville State University and find out how we're preparing students just like you for what comes next. Fayetteville State University. Are you in?
This is Apostle V.L. Whitfield of Righteous God Ministries, 2444 Owen Drive. You are listening to Wake Up.
This is Bishop Johnny Ray Jr. of the Churches of Worship Worldwide, Apostle J.A. McDonough, 2118 Owen Drive. And we are proud to be a part of the Wake Up. Come and join the team.
We now return to Making Rounds Live.
Cape Fear Valley's Making Rounds Live.
Broadcasting and streaming live on the WIDU network, 99.7 FM, 1600 AM. Here's Omega Jones.
Thank you so much, Ray. Welcome back to the second segment of Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live. Folks, we are in the middle of an amazing conversation. May is Stroke Awareness Month. We are talking about stroke. We're talking about how you can prevent it. We're talking about the warning signs. And we have two experts with us today, Dr. Mina Suman and Kathy Bowie. They're both outstanding experts in the stroke prevention and stroke care. And before we went into break, Kathy had mentioned that she was starting to talk about the different symptoms that women deal with and how women just basically, I thought it was something in my eye, or I figured something just didn't feel right. And we really don't associate all of these different feelings with medical ailments. So Kathy, before we went into break, what I wanted to ask was, stroke symptoms, do they differ in men and women, or are they basically the same?
Well, a lot of times stroke symptoms for women can be a little bit different. They can have they'll come in with just like fatigue or weakness will be their complaints, or just general not feeling well. They're more of what we call like an asymptomatic kind of stroke. Men will be a little bit more directive with their symptoms, but women are a little bit more asymptomatic and a little bit different. It's kind of hard to tell you. It's almost like a mystery in some ways. And so it's a little bit harder at times. I don't know all the reasons. Dr. Simon could probably speak to it a little bit better than I could. But we see the same thing at times with in emergency medicine with cardiac patients as well. But it makes it kind of difficult. But it's where I say, as a nurse, trust in your body and trusting yourself and advocating that something is wrong. Get seen, get checked out.
What should someone do right away if they think they're having a stroke or a loved one's having a stroke? I know we've already mentioned BFAST, and I really want to mention that again in case they mentioned it, they missed it during the first part of the broadcast. But why is time so important?
Time is brain. Time is absolutely brain, because you don't know where it's happening at. And so there is medicine that we can give depending on how severe the symptoms are. From the last known well of what's going on, we have just a specific amount of time that we can give the medication, get things going for the patient and the stroke survivor. So we want to make sure that we are on top of it, because you have 4.5 hours to get what we call the clot busting drug to nectaplace, or if it is a large vessel occlusion, which Dr. Simon can definitely speak to, getting them the care they need to get that clot removed. Time is brain. We want to make sure that they don't lose any more brain tissue than absolutely necessary, so we can get that reperfusion and get them back on the road to being functionable.
Is that also the reason why you stress that people should call 911 instead of driving themselves to the hospital?
Absolutely, absolutely.
When you're experiencing symptoms, and I've heard this so many times, this is the reason why I'm asking this, I'll just sleep it off. That is not a good idea, correct?
Correct. So stroke symptoms, as we talked about, should never be ignored or slept off, because again, brain damage can continue while treatment is delayed. Even if it's a TIA or the symptoms are resolved, that doesn't mean that it could be a warning sign before a bad stroke or devastating stroke is coming. So even if the symptoms are resolved, it's worthwhile to call 911 or get evaluation as soon as you can. Because again, the brain will get to develop damage even if symptoms are resolved.
Can you mentioned during the first break about the longer they wait, how the brain progresses. As far, I don't want to use the word deteriorate because that sounds too harsh, but you mentioned that if it's so many minutes, it ages. That's the word, ages. Mm-hmm. Could you explain that again for our listeners that may have missed it?
Sure. So basically, when every minute the stroke goes away or the blood not going to the brain, the nutrients not going to the brain, then around 2 million of neurons die, which means around 3.5 or 3 week and a half every minute the brain ages. Mm-hmm. So basically, because area of the brain is dying, then the brain ages. And every 1 hour or 60 minutes of not getting treatment, the 120 million neurons die. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, around 3.6 years the brain in age. Wow. So that's a lot of time that the brain in age. Mm-hmm. And even putting into consideration, because we don't know how many neurons we have, yeah. And it doesn't matter for us because we have a lot of them, mm-hmm. But putting into the aging is very important, because that tell us that it's time of the essence, and time is brain.
Ladies and gentlemen, May is Stroke Awareness Month. As you heard Dr. Saman say, every second counts during stroke, and knowing the signs, it can truly save a life. And in the studio, we have Dr. Mina Saman and Kathy Bowie. They are with Cape Fear Valley Health, and they're talking to us about stroke prevention, and why we should really be aware of what's going on, especially with this area being the stroke belt, as you heard Kathy mention during the first part of the broadcast. Now, Kathy, mm-hmm. This question is for you. Who is most at risk for stroke?
Those that have risk factors such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, atrial fibrillation, they smoke, they're overweight, that lack of physical activity, or don't exercise, don't get any health care, they're the most at risk for stroke.
Let's talk about smoking and vaping. Mm-hmm. Does that increase the likelihood of a person having a stroke?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Smoking damages the blood vessels from the get-go. Even secondhand smoke damages the blood vessels and increases blockages and clot formation. And then vaping also is very concerning. It's not any safer than smoking. And then, especially in the younger adults, it can negatively affect the blood vessel health and blood flow regulation to the brain. Mm-hmm. So neither of them are safe when it comes to stroke.
You mentioned obesity and mm-hmm. and diabetes earlier. All of that's contributed to our lifestyle here in the Sand Hills and southeastern North Carolina area. Why is eating healthy, and I know I beat them in the head with this all the time, but I'm going to do it again. Why is eating healthy, exercising, stress management, and overall taking care of yourself, why is it so important in stroke prevention?
Because research shows that just the modifiable risk factors, that they may be linked up to 80 to 90% of the reason people have strokes. Wow. Just those modifiable risk factors. And then eating healthy can help reduce your cholesterol. They can help with your blood sugars. They can even help with your blood pressure. Eating healthy is going to decrease your salt intake. It'll also help with your stress levels because it'll make you feel better. And then so does your exercise. When you exercise, you feel happy. They increase those endorphins, which makes you feel happy. It increases your cardiovascular health, your circulation, and your weight management, which will also improve your stress, your happiness, how people perceive you. All of those things it's like that circle of life, and it all works hand in hand. Because chronic stress can also negatively impact stroke risk. So it will help with that stress management. Quality sleep as well, Dr. Saman talked about it earlier, is also important with this. It is important in that prevention part of stroke as well. We didn't speak on it heavily, but obstructive sleep apnea, which is impacted by weight very much so, is important for stroke risk. So with that weight loss, that will help with that as well. But making sure you get enough rest, get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. But also if you do wake up gasping, or you do snore heavily, or do have obstructive sleep apnea, that you are getting it treated.
You mentioned everything we were just talking about, the eating healthy and the lifestyle change and all of that. And this just popped in, excuse me, because I know someone listening is saying this. It's too late for me to change. Is it ever too late to really change?
Oh,
Not really.
No, absolutely not. We say that all the time. It is never too late, never too late to change. And change doesn't have to happen overnight. I think we talk about it all the time. I'll tell people all the time, it's going to be hard when you have someone, and fast food is so easy. People eat fast food all the time, and I'll tell people, you don't have to change overnight. You're not going to expect them to change overnight, but do it, modify it, help them modify it, use whatever tools to go from, your McDonald's every day to incorporating salads and fruit and vegetables in that rainbow diet, to make them where they're going to want to change. But change is what they need to do, and do it in the way that's going to incorporate it, where they're going to make it consistent and part of their everyday lifestyle. But give them the resources they need so that they can make it what they want to do and find what's going to make them change.
I will take also this opportunity to, I know it may be hard for us as a 50 or 60 years old to change diet, but I think it's worthwhile to teach our kids how to follow this to prevent even stroke or TIA or a blood vessel problem or high blood pressure before happening. So adjusting the diet is not only helping the people who are having a TIA or a stroke or heart disease, but also prevent our next generation of kids, keeping them, and that will be not hard for them to having a healthy diet or healthy lifestyles afterwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mina Saman and Kathy Bowie, our in-studio guests today on Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live. We're talking about stroke because May is Stroke Awareness Month. And once again, if you're listening to the broadcast, please don't take these matters into your own hands. If you feel that you're suffering from something that we may discuss today, or a loved one, make sure you find yourself a healthcare professional. And as you've heard Kathy mention, if you feel you're having the symptoms, don't drive yourself to the hospital. Call 911. And once again, our in-studio guests, Dr. Mina Saman and Kathy Bowie on Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live. How does Cape Fear Valley Health work alongside EMS during these stroke emergencies?
So yeah, the EMS that's why it's important to call EMS in the beginning rather than drive you to the hospital, because it's starting the evaluation in the field. And the EMS evaluating the patient needs, if there is any need for intubation or any measurements to control the blood pressure or anything like that. So it's very important to monitor and keep that in hand, easy and first. Because once they start evaluating the patient, they will call, evaluate it for if there is a large vessel disease, and they will guide the patient where to go. If it's a primary stroke center or a stroke center that needs or can do a thrombectomy or like a minimally invasive procedure to take the clot out. So it's very important to have the EMS evaluating the patient in the field rather than going to the hospital. And once you go in the hospital, I look to this as like a soccer team. Everybody has a role. Then the ER physicians have a role, seeing the patient firsthand, and basically that's a referee that give the ball to the neurologist, who is a stroke neurologist, who evaluating the patient, whether in person or on the camera. And then they get a CAT scan, and then goes for the neuroradiologist, who read the imaging of the brain. And based on this, all the discussion and the collaboration between all this different subspecialty, if they find something that need to be fixed, they call me to go over and take the clot out. And finally, if everything fails, I think the neurosurgery colleagues are the ones who are keeping the patients like if there is a needing like a open surgery treatment. For sure, these patients need like ICU. So it's really like a soccer team. Everybody has its own rule, has to be collaborative, and everybody knows the rule. And for sure, even after that, even rehab has a rule. The nurses that takes the patients in the ER and the ICU. It's a lot of collaboration to make this patient or the person who's suffering stroke back on his feet and back into the community, back to his family, doing well as if he never had a stroke.
All right, Kathy, this is where I bring you back in. Doctor has already explained what goes on at the hospital and everything. Now we're talking about rehab and recovery.
Right.
What does that look like?
So recovery is different for everyone. It will depend on how severe the stroke is. Some patients' recovery is, they'll be on the floor, they'll get evaluated by physical therapy and occupational therapy, and if needed, by speech-language pathology. And some people will just go home. Some people will get outpatient therapy. Some will have to go to inpatient rehab or a skilled nursing facility. So all the recovery is individualized as to what that patient's going to need. And recovery is starts the moment the patient gets admitted. Recovery is when recovery starts. And it goes, and I don't know that recovery truly ever stops. Like we talked about, when we talked about neuroplasticity and the brain is constantly healing itself because there is damaged tissue, there is dead tissue to the brain. So the patient is having to relearn, that stroke survivor is having to relearn something with weakness, or whether it's walking or using an arm or a leg again. There is a constant relearning of something. Some people you can't tell ever had a stroke. Some people you can definitely see their weakness. But that recovery for them is a constant process. And for everyone it's different. But we help them through it, whichever route has to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, May is Stroke Awareness Month, and that's what we're talking about today on Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live. Kathy, rehabilitation services for people who may be listening. What may stroke survivors need?
So some, like I said, will need physical therapy or occupational therapy. That is one of what we call the metrics that we look at. Everyone gets an evaluation by physical and occupational therapy to see what they're going to need. Every single person for stroke. If there is a swallow or speech evaluation needed, we will order that as well. And everyone gets a speech or gets a swallow evaluation, and of course when we talk to them we see if they need see that, so they see what their needs are. And we'll get that order for them before they get discharged from the hospital. Like I said, it depends on what their needs are, if it's going to be outpatient, if it needs to be home health, PT, OT, or if they need to go to a skilled nursing facility or inpatient rehab. But we help them before they leave the hospital get all of those arrangements made. And then there are also other needs that they might have in regards to how they're feeling about their stroke. We also let them know about our support group, and because this is a life-changing experience for them. So if there are mental health issues that they need to look into, we will get them situated with that as well.
And what are some of the mental health and emotional challenges a stroke survivor can experience?
Depression, anxiety, fear, overwhelming situations, mood disorders. I mean, it can vary depending on, it can also depend on where in the brain the stroke happened at. That can definitely affect what they're going through because it can affect their personality. It could affect, their memory. So because of how it can affect their caregiver, that can affect the stroke survivor because there's a lot of give and take when it comes to this. This is going to affect, when you look at a stroke patient and someone who's had a stroke, it's a lot different than someone who's had pneumonia, because that you're going to get over that. You're going to take antibiotics and get over that. This, someone that's had a stroke, this is a life-changing situation that can take, months and years to overcome. You're going to have to, some people are going to have to, redo their house for wheelchair ramps and things like that. So it's a financial burden. The cost of debility is more than $20 billion from stroke. Yes. So those things alone changes a lot of it when it comes to stroke and affects how their mental anguish is. So we definitely try and help with that before they leave the hospital to make sure that they have these resources.
Why is it so, here in the Sand Hills region, we have our own specialized stroke team, stroke care. Why is it so important for you to have that specialized care right here in our community?
Because of where we're at, because we are in the stroke belt, because there's, when you just look at the map, there's so much around us. We are the lowest, the counties around us are the lowest health ranking counties in the United States. So the comorbidities, those additional medical conditions are going to increase the stroke risks for these people around us. And they're going to be coming to us because we are a primary stroke center. And we know that we're going to have to treat them. So we need to be specialized. We need to be able to care for them and have the resources for them to give them the care that they need.
How can caregivers and family members support loved ones during their stroke recovery?
One of the best things that they can do is be present and listen. There's no way any of us, unless we've been through a stroke, knows what anyone is going through. But to be there, to listen, to create as low stress environment as possible, to be patient and understand. There's going to be good days and bad. One of the things that we talk about when I talk about with stroke survivors is taking those little wins. When we talk with our loved ones, we talk about how it's the little things that count. Those little wins make up the big ones. And we have to remember that with them. That it's those little wins, take those little wins, because when you take all the little wins, those little bits of progress, they make those big progresses. They make those big leaps.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the studio, Dr. Mina Saman and Kathy Bowie. Dr. Saman is an interventional and vascular neurologist at Cape Fear Valley Health, as well as the director of neurointerventional services. And Ms. Kathy, she is the stroke program coordinator at Cape Fear Valley Health. Let's talk about the Cape Fear Valley Health. Does it offer a stroke support group? And if so, tell us about that.
We do. So we have the Life After Stroke team. It's a stroke support group that meets every third Friday at 3 o'clock in the GME building in one of the auditoriums, usually in Auditorium 3. It is no charge to come. You don't have to sign up. You can always call ahead of time to let me know, and I will get your number, and I send a text message out about a week ahead of time to remind people, but you can just show up. It is on the Cape Fear Valley website. about the Life After Stroke support group. It's on the AHA ASA website about it. But it is a great group. We have guest speakers some months. Some months we just have activities. But it is a great camaraderie of stroke survivors and caregivers that come together to build support, to help each other out, to get through these hard times, to see the hope and progress of each other, and to celebrate the wins, to discuss the opportunities, to help each other through. There are people that have, we've had this group now, I think, for about 5 years.
Okay.
There are some people that have been there the whole 5 years. There are some people that have just been there the last couple months. But they look and they discuss, you know, all of the progress that they've made. Some patients or some stroke survivors that come had a stroke. Maybe there's a lady that had her stroke maybe 13 years ago. But they discuss it, how they made it through, how they have come, and where they've come from, like come through in their journey, and it has helped the other survivors in this, and it is amazing to listen to them talk to each other about it.
Kathy, how can listeners learn more about the stroke resources that are available at Cape Fear Valley?
If you go to the Cape Fear Valley website, and you can just put in the search bar, type in stroke, you'll get the Life After Stroke team, you'll get stroke education, stroke information, and choose on any one of them. If you just choose the Life After Stroke team, my phone number is on there, my office number, and if I'm not in my office and you leave me a message, I will call you back and I will help you out with any resources or information that you're looking for.
Dr. Saman, let's talk about the myths real quick before we close out today's broadcast. What would you like to clear up with our listeners today?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say simple steps including eating balanced diet, exercising regularly, quitting smoking, limiting alcohol intake, staying hydrated, getting enough sleep, and following up with a primary care doctor to look for any preventable or what we call modifiable risk factor for stroke. These regular checkup help identify the risk factors, including high blood pressure or hypertension. We call the hypertension is a silent killer because we don't know about it until we have a bleed in the brain or a heart attack or a stroke. Develop monitoring the blood pressure. I asked my patients to check the blood pressure different times of day, different days, keep a log of that. Same thing for the blood sugar, making sure the blood sugar is well controlled. If they have any problem with the blood sugar, eat and making sure that you have this regular visit. Be aware of the warning signs of a stroke. Be fast, any change in the balance, in the eye vision or double vision, facial droop, arm weakness, leg weakness, and speech abnormality, whether unable to talk or getting the words out, slurring of speech, and most importantly, don't sleep on that. Just call 911 because we can offer a lot of stuff if it's early on. If not, then it will be too late to offer recovery.
And Kathy, before we close out today's broadcast, what is the key message that, and as a matter of fact, I'll let both of you say this. What is the key message that both of you want our listeners to take away from this interview today and during Stroke Awareness Month? And I'll start with you, Kathy.
Key message I want people to remember is that their life is worth more than any hospital bill, anything else. When I did a public event the other week, I had people saying that they didn't want to go to the hospital because they just didn't want to have this bill, and that just breaks my heart. And I just want people to know that, you know, if there's something going on, your life is worth so much more than a bill. I want you to go get checked. You know if there's something wrong, and I really want you to seek help immediately, because a stroke, you know, it is, the numbers do not lie, and we see it all the time, and I want you to get that help, trust your gut, get seen, so that you can live that happy, healthy life.
And Dr. Smart?
I just want to everybody to know stroke is a preventable, and we cure stroke. Again, the most important thing, the diet, exercise, lifestyle modification, checking for the risk factors, that's how to prevent stroke. We cure stroke if you come early. We give clot buster medication, or we do a procedure called a thrombectomy, taking the clot with a small incision in the arm and the leg to take the clot out. And patients improve significantly on the table for the surgery. So it's a preventable and a curable disease, but just do your part.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mina Saman and Kathy Bowie, both from Cape Fear Valley Health, they joined us today to share important information about Stroke Awareness Month, which is May. Now remember, recognizing the signs, and remember, be fast. You heard both Dr. Saman and Kathy, they mentioned it earlier. Recognize those signs. If you didn't recognize it, rewind today's broadcast so you will know what those signs are. And if you think someone is having a stroke, please don't drive them to the emergency room. Call 911. You heard how valuable and how vital that is. And to learn more about stroke care and the support services, including the stroke support group that you heard Kathy talk about at Cape Fear, just go to CapeFearValleyHealth.com. All of that information will be there for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we close out today's broadcast, don't forget, North Carolina MedAssist Mobile Free Pharmacy and Alliance Health, they are hosting an over-the-counter medicine giveaway and community event. This is going to be in Harnett County on Friday, June 5th, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Harnett County Building in Lillington. That's located at 309 West Cornelius Harnett Boulevard. And this event is free, and it is a chance for you to take home over-the-counter medicines for allergy and cough and cold and pain, vitamins for children. You know what I'm talking about. Now, you can order ahead if you would like. You can go online and do that and schedule a pickup, or you can just simply drop by the event itself on that day. It is open to all North Carolina residents, so spread the word, but you have to be 18 years or older to receive the medicines. And if you're following us on Facebook, Lindsay will make sure that all of that information gets posted in the comment section of our broadcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you make plans to join us again on Tuesday, June 8th, and that'll be our next broadcast. And again, please join me in thanking today's guest, Dr. Mina Saman and Kathy Bowie. Thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today to share this information. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And for our producers, Lindsey Graham and Ray Thomas, and the amazing team behind the scenes, I'm Omega Jones. Thanks for listening and watching Cape Fear Valley Health's Making Rounds Live.
Your station for inspiration and information. 1600 AM, 99.7 FM, WIDU.